Welcome to the Powercat Podcast, the original K-State sports show. Now let's go to the rolling Flint Hills, home of the Cats and Dogs studio. Here's your host, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to another edition of the Powercat Podcast. This week we have myself, Tim Fitzgerald, Ryan Gilbert, and our football analyst at Go Powercat, Brian Hanley. He is the host of the Big 12 Insiders. He steps into the third seat this week. Cole's at the Royals game. Cole went to he chose Bobby Witt over Ryan Gilbert.
I was going to say, Cole looks different today.
Yeah, Cole I'm not going there. I can't find anything to say. I'm not going there. But we're sponsored by the Fridge Wholesale Liquor. Make sure you stop into the Fridge. Football season's almost here. So set aside some time on your drive into town to stop at the Fridge to pick up your pre-game refreshments. You're going to need them for August 31st. It's going to be a hot day in the parking lot. You're going to need a lot of special liquid refreshments that the Fridge does a great job providing. That's alcohol, Ryan Gilbert. That's what I was referring to. Alcohol. You've never had it. You don't. Okay.
I'm not going to know what alcohol is here in a few weeks.
I know. Let's touch on that. In case folks don't know this, Ryan is coming on full-time here in a week or so, and he will be departing his other job, at least so frequently. He might fill in at times. Who knows? Maybe they'll have like an all-star bartending night, and you'll get to pick who those are.
I was going to say, I'm not going to be involved in that.
But yeah, Gills will be on full time with us this fall. He and I will be the ones traveling to football games. And in another piece of media news concerning us, after 18 years of hosting the drive or being on the panel, I have elected not to continue the show because it's time to concentrate on this. Maybe we'll do something Sunday nights on our channels, either the Big 12 or the K-State one of them. But that drive over to Topeka, and originally it was Lawrence, kind of finally wore me out. After 6 years of doing it with a cancer diagnosis, I decided, you know what? I think I'm just done. I wanted to make it to 20, but my soul was done with the show. And it will continue on. They'll be announcing some changes here in the future. These are your questions from Wabash Station. Ryan Gilbert, you're going to do all the reading, of course, because I'm not. Big B's not. That leaves you.
That's what I'm here for.
Okay, here we go.
First question comes from Email Wildcat 82. Please expand on the Wabash thread asking what past player you would add to the roster to make us complete. Email Wildcat 82 says he would take a side order of Darren Howard, please.
Oh, dang it. I was going to say Brian Hanley, but that's just me. That's just me. That's just me talking. I don't even know who that guy is. I don't even know.
So that Darren Howard guy, you haven't heard of him?
No, I don't know him either.
No.
I don't know. I talk to him literally every day, but I don't know who he is. Don't know. Lived with him at K-State too, but we never saw him. Never saw him.
What is a weak spot on this team? I mean, that would imply D-end is, and I don't think it is.
I think that's just the unknown. I think that's more of the unknown right there,
Yeah.
Fitz, is that we don't know how good defensive end / defensive line is going to be. I think that's probably why people think that it's a weak spot. But again, just because it's unknown doesn't necessarily mean weak. But if you're asking people in general, that's what they would tell you.
Yeah.
Because they just don't know. But none of us know, really. I mean, we don't know.
And see, here's my problem is there are so many great players, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. But the game's changed. So like you shouldn't pick Terry Pierce at middle linebacker because he's that kind of middle linebacker isn't around anymore. You got to be able to cover and do all that stuff. And I think Josh Buell was ahead of his time. He was really undersized for a linebacker back then, but now it would be much more common. Although the word is he was playing at about 200 pounds most of the time, listed at like 230. But I think he would be a nice addition. Although I like the linebackers, I think the way he ran sideline to sideline would be tremendous for this football team.
Yeah. I mean, Josh Buell was an animal. And the only difference is that the linemen are bigger and more athletic now.
Yep.
That's where the difference is. And getting to the edges, while he's super fast, guys get out to the edges on him, that's going to be problems. So, or running straight ahead. The linemen are just so much bigger, so much more athletic now. Plus the run schemes and the concepts on how they do stuff to run in between the tackles are so much different than what they were 10 years ago, much less 15 or 20 years ago. It would make it I'm not saying that Josh Buell couldn't play, because let's not kid ourselves. He just might have to play a different position. That's all.
I don't know if I would be taking the easy way out here, but Cooper Beebe, to bring him back for the offensive line this year with so many question marks at so many different positions. I know Sam Hecht has kind of locked up that center spot. We learned that this week with those press conferences with the coaches, but everywhere else is kind of up for grabs, it seems like, Fitz, right? And so Cooper Beebe could play so many different positions. Obviously, he's a heck of a leader, heck of a player. So, I mean, to bring one guy back for this season, I'm sorry, Big B, I'm going to go Cooper Beebe over you. I'm sorry.
He's not even the best left guard. Jeez.
It's just disrespect, and I don't like it. I just don't like it. You are taking the easy way out. I'll go ahead and say that too. But yeah, I don't like it. But you're right. You're right. I mean, you bring back that guy. I mean, and as far as I'm concerned, and I know there's a lot of K-State fans that feel the same way, go ahead and slap his name up on the stadium right now. You don't need to wait. There's no reason to wait. Just go ahead and do it right this very second, in my opinion. That's just me.
I guess, I mean, Tyler Lockett seems like, can you imagine having him and Dylan Edwards and Avery on the same team? Be a freakish collection of speed. That's actually a really tough question, because any kind of tweak like that changes the team. For example, I think if BB was back, Hadley Panzer moves to center without a thought. I mean, that's what he was originally, and then he had to fill in a guard and got pretty damn good at it. Now Hecht has stepped up, and they have raved about him. So that's interesting. Big B, you got any suggestions on who to take?
I mean, I was going to say Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, I thought that too.
You know, but you know what I'm always going to come back to? I'm always going to come back to it is Michael Bishop. Right? You put Michael Bishop on this team, and that's not taking away anything from Avery Johnson. But we haven't really seen Avery Johnson play. I saw a whole lot of Michael Bishop play. You put him on this team, and the way that he can throw the ball and run the football in between the tackles and outside, I mean, again, it changes the dynamics of the team. But, I mean, what are you going to do with that?
I think you run the damn wing tee. Is that the one where you have the two guys in the backfield and you snap it in between them? And my God, can you imagine it? Wow. Wow. Hey, by the way, if you're watching on the YouTube machine right now, Big B just hosted his own live for his Steelers channel. That's why he's wearing that shirt. I am currently podcasting with two Steelers fans / creators. They even have a Steelers podcast they do together called Steelers What an Almighty Mess with These Two Freaking Guys. Steelers Almighty. Go check that out. It's
good stuff.
It's good. It's good. I mean, hey. I mean, we do good stuff. Again, I'll say this real quick. I just want everybody to know. Look, I get if you don't like the Steelers, and there's only a reason why. It's because God hasn't touched you yet. I told Ryan this the other day. It took him a little while for God to touch him, but he does. He touches Steeler fans, and it's a burden being a Steeler fan. It really is. To have to live up to that kind of expectation, knowing that God has reached out and touched you. That's why the channel is called Steelers Almighty, because God has touched Steeler fans. And
he hasn't touched Fitz yet.
It's just that, people. Don't hate me. Don't hate me. I'm just the messenger. I'm just the messenger.
Hey, Gills, how many people have touched you?
Oh, wow.
Well, I mean, God for sure is one, but I'll revisit the Jordy Nelson. I like Jordy Nelson, Big B.
Yeah.
I think that's Tyler Lockett's a heck of a player and all, but apart from DJ and Dylan, like, you know, K-State already has so many gadget speed guys. When you look at Jace Brown or Keegan Johnson, you know, they're not necessarily the biggest players, right? And I know Jordy Nelson was only like 6'3", but he's still, you know, he wasn't just a speed guy. And so if you were to add one more weapon, I wouldn't want necessarily a Deuce Vaughn, because this team already kind of has that type of player. So bring in, I know Chris Harper wasn't huge, but somebody that can go out and make plays, not just because of their speed.
Yeah. I mean, that might be selling Tyler Lockett a little bit short on his ability. I mean, a guy that's that little with just that kind of speed doesn't play in the NFL as long as he has, if that's all he's got. But I do understand what you're saying. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I like Jordy Nelson because I think Jordy Nelson was underrated. Not only at K-State, but in the National Football League. I thought he was underrated, because, again, he was big, he was fast, he ran the entire route tree, and he caught everything. So, I mean, I don't know what else you want, but if I could get that as a receiver, that's pretty good. So,
Yep, I would agree. It's really a tough choice because, Big B addressed it. If you pick Michael Bishop, who is the logical choice, you're saying over Avery, that loses some of the flavor of what is this team. And, you don't even, maybe you would say a Sproles or a Vaughn, but then you substitute out what you're going to get from DJ Giddens and Dylan Edwards as a pair. It's interesting how the dominoes kind of fall, and this team doesn't have a glaring weak spot. I think the original question asker picked Tim Colston as a nose tackle, which is an interesting choice. And I tried to think of another nose tackle, and I kept coming up with Tank Reese, who was like the smallest nose tackle in the history of football at this level, but really effective. But yeah, I mean, if K-State had a absolute dominant monster of a nose tackle, the 6'3", 300+ pound guy that just dominates the middle of the line of scrimmage, that would be my choice. That'd be my choice over a quarterback, to be honest. But it just haven't had that.
No, they haven't, and that's the difference. Yeah, I mean, it's just part of who K-State is, and kind of the fabric of how they get guys that they fit the position because of how well they play, but their body type isn't the position. It's like even Tim Colston, he was short, super short and pigeon-toed. And the pigeon-toed part is okay, but not to be as short as he was and still that good, and that's kind of the difference. Never had that 340, 6'4", 340 guy playing nose tackle that can't be blocked by one person, can't really even be blocked by two people. Just haven't had that.
I'm totally spacing off the guy's name, but that role is so important. I think Baylor won a Big 12 championship because of their nose tackle in 2021. I cannot think of his name right now, but that dude was awesome.
Couldn't move him.
From Mountain Dew Cat 74, will the diamond formation return to the offense this year with the depth at running back? Seems like it has disappeared the last few seasons.
I always liked the diamond formation, but they never did anything of substance with it. I never understood why they kept it when they just turn around and hand it off to one guy. I never understood what the purpose of the formation was when you didn't kind of indicate really anything else other than handing it off to someone. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see the damn wishbone as a gimmick play. What are you going to do? You've got, Joe Jackson and Dylan Edwards with DJ and Avery. I mean, it'd just be entertaining, but there's a lot more that goes into running the wishbone than having the right running backs. There's a lot of blocking that has to be learned and cut blocking and different things. So I hope they get creative. I'll just leave it at that. The diamond formation was something that came in from North Dakota State. I think they didn't feel like it applied itself the same way at the Big 12 level, but I also don't think they used it in very creative ways through, their initial uses of it. Looked promising, looked like they were going to build something off of it, and then just never did. They just stopped running it.
Well, I think part of it is that they used it as a decoy. Like they thought they made people think that they were going to do all these different things when really they were just going to hand the ball off on an outside zone or hand the ball off on an inside zone. And I think you're right, Fitz. If you're going to use it, because it's a very effective formation if used the right way, which I've seen some North Dakota State games where they did do a lot of that stuff.
Yep.
Well, I think you can do that. Now you lose a little bit of blocking on the edge, I guess, if you're going to use that, and maybe that's part of it, and they don't want to do that. And Guys are bigger, stronger, faster coming off the edge, hitting your quarterback. So maybe you don't want that happening. But I think it can be something that we use. But to be honest, I think it's more of a gimmick. But if you're going to put it out there, then run the gimmick. Don't just, hey, let's line up and then just run off tackle. You're going to line up in the formation, then just run the gimmick and go from there.
I agree. Totally
I agree as well. From TDE 67, does Dylan Edwards get more snaps out of the backfield or out of the slot this season? Interesting question.
I'll probably say backfield. But if he lines up in the backfield and then moves to the slot, what are we counting there? I mean, I guess the snap would be the slot. I think they're going to do that a lot with him. Keep in mind, they have no intention of running DJ every down, every play, even if it's, how Ward was used a year ago or whenever that was. I don't know that that's any different than how they'll use Edwards plus putting him in the slot. So I'm interested in that, but I think he'll line up as a running back more often than we think, because I also think, setting the diamond aside, I think they will have some stuff with both of those guys in the backfield with Avery.
Yeah. The thing about it is the guy got recruited as a running back, and he can play the slot. He can do a lot of different things, but he was recruited by everybody in the country to go play running back. And now, again, you get to college, things change, and I understand that, but he had an opportunity that he ran probably behind the worst offensive line that I've seen in a Power 5 college football, maybe in my life last year. And that's not an exaggeration. Colorado's offensive line was that bad. But DJ's also really good. So I think we're going to see a lot where they're both on the field at the same time, and maybe one lines up in the backfield. We make a motion shift. One goes to the slot. One comes from the other side that was in the slot and comes into the backfield. There's just so many different things that we're going to be able to do with both of these guys. The imagination's got to get there, though. But I think it will. I think this is something that offensive coordinators dream of being able to have. Two guys, really good, really versatile, that you can put on the field at both times, that are team guys that aren't going to get mad when somebody else shines. I think that's the key to that.
This is where, we're hearing all these good things about Joe Jackson and LaJames White. Okay, if everything that we're hearing is true, then you don't really need Dylan Edwards to be you don't need him to be a running back. He can go out and play in the slot as much as you need him to play. If the depth at running back isn't what they think it is, then, absolutely Dylan Edwards is going to have to be in the backfield more. But, we'll talk about depth here in the next question. But at running back, it's, as long as this hype is real, Dylan Edwards doesn't necessarily have to be in the backfield. That's why I think this is such an interesting question.
Yeah. Connor Riley said something at Tuesday's press conference that was interesting, that they're having success running him right up the middle through those gaps. And I thought that was, that kind of gets away from, he only weighs 165 pounds. How could he possibly run between the tackles, let alone between the guards? And apparently he does. I kind of questioned his weight, but he is skinny. I mean, let's be honest here. Darren Sproles had tree stumps for legs.
Correct.
And Deuce Vaughn had smaller tree stumps for legs. Correct. Dylan Edwards doesn't have that. He's 165, and both of those guys were heavier. And I mean, I think Darren was up around 180 or something. 170 of it was legs. So, yeah, he is really light, but I think they're going to use him. They're just going to use him however they can. And again, as I said, he's got to catch up in the playbook too. Right now, they can only put stuff out there that he knows, and they need to expand that number of plays he understands so that they can run their full playbook with him involved.
Yeah, I mean, you got it. I mean, I think he'll get up to speed. Well, I hope he gets up to speed with that. I mean, I think they kind of slow play some of the stuff that they put in during camp here. But yeah, got to get up to speed with what they're doing and what you can put in so that you can run him, because again, you don't want to get pigeon-toed into, okay, we can only have a certain package of him out there, then you're not using him to his best of his ability. And
Right.
it can't have that. You just can't.
True.
Last question of the first half is, oh boy, I didn't write down the name. Whoever asked this, I'm very sorry. But it says lots of depth. Let's talk about depth. How many players do you expect to see regular time at each position this season, assuming everyone is healthy? And we'll kind of go one by one here. We'll start off with wide receiver.
Okay, I'm sorry. I missed something about that. What was that part of that question?
How many players will play at each position?
Oh, okay.
So-
Okay. I'm going to go
Wide out.
in a regular rotation. I think they're going to have 5.
Mm-hmm. You have to.
They kind of lowered that number in the past few. Well, they did, but they didn't. But they've got enough dudes where they can go 5 easily. And
Right.
I mean, they could go more. They finally got some depth at wide receiver. Running back will be 3. I don't know. Quarterback should be
We'll go down the line here, Fitz. So
1.
wide receiver, we say 5. Tight end.
5, 3. I don't know
Yeah.
who the third one is. Chris Kleiman
Right.
said he didn't know who the third one was, but they've got good candidates.
Okay. Running back. 4.
No, it'll be 3.
It'll be 3. I mean, it just depends on what you're talking about playing time. I think it's entirely possible it's 2 unless it's, a gimmick play or, they're both winded or it's late in the game and Jackson or James come in. But I think for the most part, it's going to be 2, but I think 3 is a good answer.
Okay. Offensive line. Riley said on Tuesday, probably 7 are in the mix right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a believable number. And I might even go to 8 as if you get the backup center in there, because it sounds like that'll be a separate person. So, Big B, what's your ideal number of offensive linemen to have to rotate through?
I mean, it's ideal to have 8, but if you're playing, I mean, just if you're a coach, you just want 5. You don't want to have to rotate offensive linemen, and that's just the truth. I mean, you don't see that often where they're rotating 5, 6, 7 guys playing on the offensive line. You usually do that because somebody's not good enough and there's no separation between them and the other guy, and you're wanting to try to get separation. That's why you put more guys out there. But offensive line isn't a position where, hey, we need to get this guy a rest and we'll put somebody else out there. It's not like a receiver or a running back. So while I get they might play 7 or 8 guys, it's not ideal. And I bet if you ask the coaches, if they're being honest with you, they would tell you, hey, we just want 5 solid guys. The other guys are the backups, and that's it. We don't need to get them out on the field.
But we have the conversation, about Dylan Edwards, good players, are going to find their way onto the field one way or another. You have to get them on the field. There's been so much talk about Andrew Linegang, right? And he's probably not projected as a starter. We learned that on Tuesday, but Kleiman and Riley have both said that they want to get him in on the field. And so that's kind of the dilemma they're in, right?
And he's a guy that can play, they claim, all 5 spots. So that's a really valuable piece to have, the guy that can move around and fill in everyone. But John Pastore has apparently really accelerated his growth at tackle, and so he'll probably be the 3rd tackle.
And that, all of that is, again, it's great. You need a guy that's very versatile on the offensive line to play multiple positions. You need other guys to step up, but that doesn't necessarily mean they have to get in the game. I mean, you got 5 guys that you put out there to start the game. It's not basketball. It just isn't where hey man, we got to sub this guy out. Not on the offensive line. It's not. Now, I'm not saying they won't do it. I'm not even saying that it can't work. I'm just saying conventional wisdom, that's just not what you do. And again, if the coaches are being honest with you and hey, would you rather just have 5 guys that are going to be out there every week? They would say yes.
Yep.
On the defensive end.
What? Oh, number of
Did you hear me?
players?
Sorry, did I cut out? Defensive end.
No, I lost the storyline there.
Well,
Defensive end, I think will be 5.
Yeah,
I really do.
It depends on, because we're going to taper
6.
with a little bit on a 4-man line this year. So It just depends. But I think you got to, I mean, if we're talking just defensive end, I think it's got to be 5. It's got to be 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
D tackle. Sorry.
D tackle 2. If you get to the third guy at nose tackle, and again, my sense is when they go to the 4 down, if they do 4 down, they'll have a big defensive end in that other spot. I don't know, but I think it's just going to be the 2 people. I think Alalio and Uso will be the 2, and we'll see what happens with the rest of the guys.
Yeah.
Linebacker.
This one might be a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, injuries cause a lot, but I think they're going to have a 2 deep they'll play. So I'm going to go with 6. I really do. I think we're going to see a lot of young guys out there. I was kind of blown away by the Asa Newsom news that he's up in 100% and going in practice, because that's huge. They didn't expect that. So that really supplements things for them and gives them another body out there.
Yes. 6 is a good number. Again, it's one of those positions where it just depends, because you got guys that are better in coverage on passing downs, and you have guys that are better against the run on traditional running downs. But you also have a guy that's just the best player. You don't usually want to sub that guy out,
Yeah.
So it's really going to depend. 6 could get out there. I don't necessarily see 6 like in a game that's close, that's tight. I don't think they're going to play 6 linebackers. I think that would be too many, but it's a possibility. I think 5 is probably a good number, but I think 4 realistically play, but 6, and I could see that.
Okay. Safety.
Well, considering K-State has 3 of them, and a lot of good young ones, I'll go 5, maybe just 4, depending on who's backing up. If it's, someone that can cover a lot of ground and do different things, but they know who their 3 starters are right now. Maybe Fabris would be the backup. There's some other guys there. So 4, maybe 5 at safety.
Yeah, that's a great number, Fitz. I think 5 that you would have, especially as much 3 safety looks that K-State puts out there. I think 5 is a good number. I just think it is.
Yep.
Okay, last one, cornerback.
I think it's going to be 3. They got the 2 starters, Justice James. They'll have a 4th guy in case there's an injury or, someone's absolutely gassed. But I think for the most part, there's going to be 3 corners that rotate through.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a position. That's kind of like offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
I know they got to run a lot, but when you got 2 that are really working,
you don't sub those guys. That's right. You're not subbing those guys out.
You don't, because as soon as you do,
exactly that.
That's a glaring change that a good quarterback will say,
Absolutely.
Good, he's off the field.
Absolutely. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't know, or maybe not know, they don't realize in college football especially. That's how teams got good, is when they went to all these spread offenses, there were more receivers that were better at 4th and 5th receiver than you have cornerbacks. And that's where they used to attack. They used to attack those guys. They would move their best receivers inside going against the 3rd, 4th, 5th best defensive back. Well, it was a problem. So.
Yep.
Cool. That's our first half, Fitz.
That's it. That's it for the first half of the Powercat podcast. I'm so out of it. I thought we'd already taken a break. That's just sad.
That was a long,
it's sad what I've become.
A lot of positions to go through.
Man, I'm going to go with 7 kickers. Also, 7 kickers. It's going to be that kind of year, and one of them will be Ryan Gilbert. Lord help us.
We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
Please visit the Fridge Wholesale Liquor, located at the corner of Claflin and Westport Road in Manhattan, Kansas.
Welcome back to the show. Let's return to the Cats and Dogs studio.
Welcome back to the Powercat Podcast. Fitz and Gills and Big B this week. That's your trio. Cole's at the Royals game, and Wally's on vacation. How dare him? How dare him go to Colorado and enjoy family time? How dare him? Didn't invite me. I'd have loved to go.
Yeah, didn't invite any of us.
No, just left.
He called me. I just told him I got back from vacation.
Oh,
I couldn't go.
How was the Dominican, Big B? You have fun?
It was great. I
Good.
tell you what, it was great. I had a good time. I tried to drink them out of pina coladas. I really tried. Couple days, it didn't work out for me very well. My wife got a little mad at me, but you know what? It didn't matter. It was pina colada time. I told you guys I was going to try to drink as many as I possibly could. And dag nabbit, I drank as many as I possibly could.
What did she get mad about? You're a man with a goal trying to achieve greatness, and she's opposed to that?
You know, I love my wife dearly, but sometimes she holds me back, fellas. She holds me back. And this was one of those times she held. Now, I don't know if she held me back or held me up. One of the two. I don't remember. I don't remember which one. We'll just say she held me back. We'll just go with that.
Well, she's really going to be embarrassed when you go back there in a year or two and there's a damn statue of you at the resort, probably laying in the bushes statue, but still it's a statue.
That's right.
Achieve greatness.
So guys, this is why I'm not married. I don't got to deal with stuff like that.
You're not married because no woman would like you.
Okay, you didn't have to say it. Didn't have to say it. But, well, I thought we were gonna drink Vegas and rob them of all their alcohol, the four of us, and we failed on that too, didn't we?
We did.
I thought I did pretty good for myself.
Yeah,
considering how little I drink now. I thought I efforted pretty well. I just took one night. You guys kept going and I hid.
They kept drinking, and I went to the poker room. Also, do you notice these bubbles on Big B's screen? Have you seen?
Yes, I just saw
them. What are those?
I don't know what it is. I keep seeing them.
He's farting.
It might be that, or either that, or I'm still burping from all the pina coladas or something. I don't know.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Fridge Wholesale Liquor. They've been with us for a long time. They're coming up. They're looking at some other advertising with us. We'll see what they stick with this. They move to another product. Maybe they go with that face tattoo option Ryan Gilbert has agreed to take. That's very nice of you to have a face tattoo. But I just want to make sure you know, if you get the Fridge logo on your cheek, it's there for life. It's a tattoo. It's not we're not doing those henna thing or whatever those are. This is going to be a real tattoo, but I appreciate it. We're going to sell that for $12.
I'd get free booze for life at the Fridge. Come on.
Well, you could have free booze for life if you were good at shoplifting.
Okay.
There's that, but don't go to the Fridge and shoplift. Go to another place. Here's your questions from Wabash Station. Ryan Gilbert, take it away.
Okay. I guess we should not include Cooper Beebe because that's going to be the easy answer, right? But
Cooper
Pickles,
Beebe,
who is the next player to join the Ring of Honor?
I can't even remember who's up there right now.
Oh, sorry. No. I think it has to be him, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not even the easy. Like I said, I mean, I know there's a waiting period and I get all of that, but does it really need to be? I mean, it doesn't have to be. They always make you have these waiting periods, but I'm like, if somebody was that great, what difference does it make whether it's 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? Why not just do it right now? I mean, like literally right now. I mean, it's the best offensive lineman K-State's ever had, in my opinion. So why do we have to wait for that?
Well, I'd like to see him get Nick Leckie up there.
Absolutely.
There's some others that from that 97 to 2003 stretch that probably need stronger consideration. Those teams were loaded. You look at the number of guys who just weren't good players at K-State or in the Big 12. They went on to long careers in the NFL, and that was not uncommon. So I think there's a lot they can do going backwards and figuring that out. But I'm all in on Cooper Beebe. That guy was good from day one and only got better.
Absolutely.
I'd love to see what, Camden Beebe can do. Not this season, but in the future, right? I mean, that Beebe, think of it like the Lockets, right? Like that Beebe last name. You're not just going to think of Cooper, right? So
yeah,
that would only help his legacy if Camden has a nice solid career moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, he's had some back issues. We'll see if he ever really can get healthy enough to play. This is kind of sad. That's an entire family of offensive linemen. If you get Tom, the dad, to play a spot, you got a starting offensive line. And of course,
did you see the video of Cooper
yes.
was taking snaps with his mom? Yeah.
Yeah, the mom gets to be quarterback because she knows how to take the shotgun snaps. Did you see those, Big B?
I did
He was
not.
practicing snapping because he's going to be, one of their backup centers or something for the Cowboys. So he's in the backyard and Tom's filming it. Cooper, an NFL offensive lineman, snapping the ball to his mom. It was great.
Wow.
It was
I love
great. It was fantastic. But that's the kind of family they are. And that's exactly it. That's why their boys have had a great deal of success because they're so supportive.
That's great.
Ryan Gilbert, you belong on the Ring of Honor, though.
I'll be there one day. There's the time limit, right? Or they got to wait a certain amount of years, but I'll be there.
The 100-year waiting period. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
From Mountain Dew Cat 74, who is the most overrated team in the conference this preseason? The most underrated?
I think the most underrated is Iowa State. I've been saying I think they're going to be really good. I think Matt Campbell did a really good job coaching last year, getting that team collected and understanding the psyche of his team. And I thought he did a great job. And they return a ton of players. So Iowa State's my sneaky good team. The team, I don't know, man. I don't want to throw anyone from the Pac-12 under the bus because I don't know how this is all going to translate. Maybe Utah fans are right. Maybe they're going to come in and kick everyone's ass. I don't see that, but I'm willing to admit I could be wrong on that. But overachievers or underachievers, I guess, and they're going to have a fit. I don't know why KU fans get so upset when we talk about Jalen Daniels back. We just talked about a K-State player's back. When you've been injured number of seasons, people talk about your injuries in football. I know you're new to this, but if Jalen Daniels isn't healthy, I think KU will fall under the underachievers. And if he is healthy and if he stays healthy through the year, they're going to be really good. And that's just the way it snaps out. But I can't say who's maybe overrated because, Utah and K-State seem like the best two. Oklahoma State's right there. Arizona should be pretty good. Maybe they are it with a new coach, but man, they got some dudes. They got some players. So I'm not sure.
I think you're right as far as Iowa State being underrated and under the radar. I think they got it figured out near the end of last season, and I think all of that's going to carry over. But I'm going to throw a team under the bus. I think it's Arizona. I don't think Arizona is going to be as good. They got some guys, and again, I've said it on the Big 12 Insiders several times, Fitz, that I think they got the best quarterback and wide receiver duo, definitely in the conference, but more than likely in the country.
Yep.
But you get a little pass rush and, maybe you double cover them. Then what? Then what are they going to do? And they're going to have to prove to me that they can match the physicality that's going to come with playing in the Big 12. And I'm not sure that they can. I could be wrong. Again, they got a new coach, all of that stuff. I could be totally wrong, but you're going to have to prove it to me before I believe it.
I don't trust a guy that wears I don't trust a coach that wears a lei throughout a press conference when he's not in Hawaii. I'm just going to put that out there. I just thought it was weird.
Yeah, that was just
all the players, right? As well.
Yeah,
I dressed up like they were in Hawaii.
I didn't get it. I'm like, look, man, this is Vegas. First of all, it was 120 degrees. Our skin was cooking. That's not happening in Hawaii. So nothing about Vegas should have reminded them of Hawaii. Nothing should have.
Oh, the
Never
beaches.
been in it's like being inside of a microwave. That was terrible.
It was horrible.
Oh.
He just wants to be like Coach Prime and stick out in a way, which should be a good segue into. I think most competent people, nobody's buying the Colorado hype, I would hope. But, if you're watching Skip Bayless and stuff, I guess you could say Colorado's going to be overrated. Like, I think Colorado's one of the most bet on teams to win the national championship. It's like, so I don't think they're going to be anything scary, but Fitz, you mentioned KU, the potential, just based off of potential, the ceiling, absolutely. I think KU can have a great year, but Jalen Daniels has to prove that he can play at a high level and stay healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
Which isn't uncommon for the game of football. don't know why they're so
The
weird
thing
about
is
that.
that the KU
Why do you always bring it
fans,
up?
they get bent out of shape because they're saying, well, you know what we do when he's playing, we're really good. And why would you hope that he gets hurt? First of all, nobody's hoping that
Nobody
he
is
gets hurt.
saying that.
But for the last 2 seasons, he has gotten hurt. So it's almost like when people say, well, he's got to stay healthy, they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, the history has shown that he's gotten hurt. What are you talking about? Should we not base anything based off of history? You're doing that to say, hey, we have all these guys coming back that were really good. You're basing that on history, but we can't use injury history, especially back injury history, which anybody that knows anything about a back, it never goes away. Like it never go. You can have surgery on it. It doesn't go away. It's always there. Once you hurt it, that's it. You're always going to have back pain. So I'm just saying, that's KU fan. You got to get over it. You just got to move on. I hope he stays healthy. I hope they're as good as they can be, except when they play K-State and maybe 9 or 10 other games that they lose. But that's a different conversation for a different day. But I'm just saying, nobody's wishing this guy gets hurt. It's just that's in his history that he got hurt.
I haven't seen a single mention of someone hoping he gets hurt.
Exactly. Nobody said
saying
that.
He might and he needs to stay healthy isn't hoping he does. It's just the strangest thing.
It's KU fan. They don't understand how to deal with expectations. And when people start talking about you, they should be though. I mean, but K-State or KU football fans and KU basketball fans are totally different. But you would think that some of those people understand how to deal with expectations, but they don't. So,
from Contra Cat, what team on our schedule has the potential to exceed their expectations today?
Hold on. UCF isn't on our schedule.
Oklahoma State.
Yeah,
I think Oklahoma State could be really good, and they beat Utah early. Then who else is it? Other than us? Who else are they going to lose to?
True.
I mean, and I don't know a lot of people that are picking them to be 10-2 or 11-1, but that could happen easily.
Yeah, if they get good quarterback play, man, just watch out.
You know, I don't think Colorado's going to be good. I don't think BYU's going to be good. I don't think Arizona State's going to be good. I don't see Cincinnati. I mean, there's just some teams on the schedule that I think they are what they are.
Maybe
we always talk about West Virginia could be that team.
Yeah.
You know, look,
they got to be good early though, Fitz.
Oh, yeah.
West Virginia, those 2 big games early, if they get beat, I think the season will tank. Those 2 big games that they have against Penn State and Pitt, if they don't win both of those, or if they lose both of those, I think the season could go sour quickly.
Well, I'm a big fan of Garrett Green, and I think if they do, he'll keep them in line. I mean, I think Rocco Becht at Iowa State and Garrett Green at West Virginia are very similar in they're that bulldog kind of leader, and I trust him to keep that team kind of in line. I saw it when he played against Kansas State to end 22. This dude can play, and the team wants to play with him and for him. So yeah, it could be West Virginia. Their schedule does ante up quite a bit this year from last year, but it could be them. And that, I'm telling you, you go to Boulder, you get that win over, a team that's in the national spotlight. No matter how good or bad they are, they're going to be in the national spotlight. And then you turn around the next week and fly to another mountain range in West Virginia and play them. That could be the trap game on your schedule right there.
For sure. Yeah. I hate to, bring up KU again, but I mentioned it just a few minutes ago that ceiling is very high for that team. And, you look at the timing of this game, and I mean, it absolutely could be the biggest K-State KU game of my lifetime. And so, again, things could go south with injuries, but, the potential, right? Not to mention Leipold, right? He's certainly one of the best coaches in this league. Mm-hmm. So, you obviously throw in the talent on the field, Daniels, players returning. You mentioned that Big B, but, you can't ignore the coaching, on that team as well. I'm a believer in it. And so that could be a team that's in the top 15, top 10 by the time that game comes around.
I agree totally.
Okay. Last question from CFIHDE. Can I have a quick basketball recruiting update? Is this the first time K-State has offered 7 of the top 10 national prospects with real expectations to battle for them? I can probably chip in here, Fitz. We don't, get too in depth with recruiting on these podcasts, but yeah, obviously there's 3 guys: Darren Peterson, AJ DeBonza, I believe I'm saying that right, and then Malik Thomas. They're all top 10 guys, according to 24/7 Sports, and they're all 5 stars. All 3 of them have K-State in their final, 8, 10 lists of schools. We're not going to get into, K-State's real odds of getting those guys, but my biggest thing here is you look at what happened with RJ Jones and Day-Day Ames from last year, right? I probably had that fear that K-State was going to ditch and just get away from the high school ranks because it's so easy. You look at the roster K-State's put together this offseason, you look at what Tang did in year number 1 with, guys like Keontae Johnson coming in from the portal. It's easy to just get a bunch of guys from the portal and kind of neglect the high school ranks, but I'm glad to see that they're still going after these guys. There's still an emphasis, on these players, right? I think once the roster was finalized, Fitz, they were heading right off the Peach Jam, right? And so there's still an emphasis here, and I think they're still following the same footprint of going after a handful of guys that are dudes, right? You look back at Patrick Gongba, didn't work out, obviously, but the hype that was there, the efforts that this staff put in to try to get a player like that to come to K-State, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, but you're putting them in just a few rather than, shooting at the dartboard and kind of hoping they hit. So again, I'm not sure if these guys, it's still August. It's relatively early, right? Things are going to ramp up here now that they've kind of narrowed down their schools, but certainly K-State's hitting these guys hard. Malik Thomas was a guy that he was at the Elite Eight or the Sweet 16 game in New York. He was there in Madison Square Garden. So they've been on him for a while. I don't know if there's great odds for any of these 3 guys in specific, but I like what they're doing. They're not just getting away from the hoops, high school ranks. They're staying with that. Obviously, guys, let's be real here. I think more often than not, a new player coming into your program is going to be probably from the portal, right? They're only going to have a couple guys. One, David Castillo is the lone guy coming in from the high school ranks this season, but it's good to see that they're not just completely just neglecting it like I kind of feared that they might.
Well, I think Patrick Gongba's recruitment is kind of a sign of things to come. They went after him strong. They really felt good about it. It didn't work out, but they didn't go to another high school player, because plan B might have already moved on from you because you were so hard on Gongba. So you end up with the 3rd or 4th option. They didn't do that. They just moved to the portal. And I think that's what we're going to see them do. We're going to try to hit home runs with our high school guys now. We're not going to be a developmental program in that sense. We're going to go find guys that are ready to play, which I think Castillo is. And if we don't get those guys, then we'll just go to the portal. We're not going to keep sliding down the list of our recruits until we get the 3-star that can fill the roster spot. You can fill the roster spot with other dudes. Plus, they're going to be moving to 15 scholarships, so they might potentially be able to sign some more high school guys. But if you ask me, that just means there'll be more guys transferring.
Yep. Real quick on Gongba, guys, look at Dylan Edwards. Just because it doesn't work out initially, you can still, I think, from my understanding, there's a great relationship still there with Gongba and the K-State staff. So, the door's never shut on these guys.
Nope.
Right.
I love the philosophy on what you laid out, Fitz. Look, I've always said it, and people got on me for it. I don't think that K-State has to be a program, especially in basketball, that has to just live on 3-star guys. First of all, we play in the best basketball conference in the country. You got a bunch of 3-star guys, you're not going to be any good. That's just period, point blank. You're just not going to be any good. And I think K-State fans, whether we get – here's the thing. Sometimes you're just planting seeds. Whether we get any of these 3 guys, these 5-star guys or not, just having our name mentioned in the conversation is a big deal, because maybe we don't get them. Maybe we don't get a 5-star, but you know what? We could get high 4s. Now that's where programs live anyway, is on the high 4s. I go, I mean, that's how your program becomes good. And I just don't think that you have to settle. Well, we didn't get this guy. We didn't get that guy. We got to go down to a 3-star guy just to say we got a high school guy. No, not anymore. We don't have to do that. I think K-State's past that. I've told you guys that several times. I think they're past that. They need to live past that and be past that and continue to push the envelope to try to get better players in the door. The better players that we can get in the door. Now, it requires winning. Don't get me wrong. But the better players that we can get in the door, obviously, I mean, that's an obvious question, but just continue to go after those guys. Don't settle. Never settle.
Keep in mind that Coleman Hawkins, like, he was a 5-star portal get. You know what I mean? Like, he's right now, this offseason, he was, that's a 5-star dude. You know what I mean? And so David Castillo, I think he was a 4-star now, but because of injuries, but he was a 5-star get. And some people maybe look past that and say he's only here because of Clint Stewart and his connections and all that. But
who cares?
Who cares? Exactly. That K-State's, I hate to be a cheerleader and say this but you're going to miss out on guys, but you can't get everybody, right? You can't just land everybody you go after. And so, sure, you can be frustrated K-State's missing out on some players, but to be involved, I mean, that's a step in the right direction to certainly get the ball rolling, the program to where you want it to be. And so is K-State maybe going to miss on all 3 of those guys in that, in that list? Perhaps, but just to be involved is a win. It really is.
And I don't put it past the staff to go out there and recognize something about someone that they think could be special. That might be a mid 4-star. I think they're pretty good at evaluating, but you just don't get to develop players the way you used to. I mean, they don't have the patience for that. And then if you do try to develop the players and play a bunch of young guys, you lose. And then the fans don't have the patience for you.
Yep.
So the lack of patience just throughout college athletics right now means you're either young and ready to go, or you're going to have to play at a lower level and prove yourself and then transfer up. And that sucks, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, it's just the way it is.
One more thing to hit on too. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Coleman Hawkins, if the rumored NIL numbers, guys, K-State's going to be, they're going to be able to get the players that they want. NIL is not going to be at all an issue for K-State basketball.
No, they got some dudes lining up with the money. There's talk, that K-State might have one of the highest NIL budgets in college basketball, which is remarkable, which means you can play. It's just, Dave Aranda said it. How come you're having better recruiting? Because we're paying people. I mean, that's exactly it. Now you can pay them. The tables have been evened out. Let's not be naive. This has been going on.
Yes.
Players have been getting paid. Now they're getting paid a hell of a lot more. I remember the rumor about Marcus Smart getting $50K to go to Oklahoma State, and the coaches were pissed because Travis Ford kind of blew the roof off the paying players budget by paying him $50K. You don't get a backup guard anymore for $50K.
That's crazy.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's gotten very expensive. Apparently K-State's got some donors who are done messing around with this. They want to see basketball back. Maybe this will work. Maybe it won't, but this is certainly something new, a different approach than K-State has ever tried, because following the rules didn't pay very many dividends. If you want to say there was a season when they didn't follow the rules and got Michael Beasley and Bill Walker, well, that didn't pay that many dividends. They lost in the second round of the tournament. So we'll see how this applies to the future of K-State basketball. But I think they've got the right coaches. If they consistently get the right kids and can kind of develop a few young guys, I think that'll be good. You need to have that spine in your program, the core of guys that have been in your system. I truly believe that.
Yeah, Taj Manning's not the best player on K-State's roster, but to be the bridge to the new guys coming in, how this is how it's done in the weight room and practices, that stuff doesn't matter.
Yep, agreed. Is that it, boys? That's it.
That's it. I'm done staring at Big B's awesome shirt.
Yeah. Thank you, Big B, for doing the show.
Yeah. Anytime, man. Anytime. I'm part of the team, so I appreciate you guys having me.
Steelers thing's just staring at me.
Hey,
I love it.
I mean, God can touch you, Fitz.
It's
Someone
please do that. Someone.
This has been a GoPowerCat.com and Spirit Street production. Please support this show by subscribing to this YouTube channel or follow us on your favorite podcast platform.